This is one session in a series describing PureLoad, which is used for performing extreme performance testing of different web servers. This session describes how to get started with testing and give you an introduction on how to get started and executing a very simple PureLoad test session. A typical PureLoad session includes creating worker and worker threads. This defines execution resources. Create test scenarios. An optional setup of server monitoring. Run the execution and analyze your results. This test session will be done without any server monitoring. First we start the servers and the console. One easy way to do this for evaluation purposes or a smaller test is to run PureLoad in a standalone mode, where all the servers and the console is running in the same process. You now see the console graphical user interface. Since we are running in a standalone mode, we only have one worker manager host, and that is localhost 127.0.0.1. The first step in a PureLoad session is to create at least one worker for each manager process. You do this in the Workers tab by selecting one or several manager nodes, and after that choose the Edit Create Object menu choice or the yellow star plus button in the toolbar. Specify number of workers, that is Java virtual machines, and worker threads per Java virtual machine to create. For now, only create one thread. Note that if you are using an evaluation license, the number of threads you can create is limited. Now you see the created worker and worker thread in the workers tree. Creating scenarios is the process of defining what to test and applying the dynamic properties of the load test. This is done by adding optional task sequences and tasks to a scenario object. The scenario and task sequence objects can be seen as containers used to organize tasks. A task normally defines a specific operation as seen from a user or application perspective. Tasks can also be individual parameterized if the task supports task parameters. Here we create a very simple scenario using only one task to access a web server. Go to the scenario editor, select the root node and choose Edit Create Object menu choice or the yellow star plus button in the toolbar. A scenario node will now be created. Select the scenario and repeat the operation to create more scenarios. Now you are presented with a dialog where to select a task type to be added. Find the task HTTP GET task, select it and press Add. Now you will have a simple scenario with only one task. Now let us specify the URL we want to use instead of the default one. We will use a default web server running on the same localhost as we run PureLoad on. Also update the response code parameter to make sure we get an expected response code. Now we have a very simple scenario with only one task. When executed, this task will generate an HTTP request to HTTP 127.0.0.1. We want to run this 10,000 times, so we have also updated the number of iterations for the scenario to 10,000. Also note that creating scenarios for a web application using HTTP tasks can be tedious and time-consuming. The PureLoad HTTP recorder simplifies this process and is described in a separate session. Now we run execution of this scenario. We start the execution by selecting the scenario in the tree and then start the load session using the Run Start Load Test menu choice or the green right arrow button in the toolbar. An execution can only be started if there are existing worker threads and that at least one scenario is defined and selected. A confirm dialog is displayed. Right now we use a short automatic update interval. During a long load test you should not use a short interval, since this will affect the load test and use more resources. Choose OK to start the test. As soon as the execution starts, you will see the result being displayed. Results from a load execution is periodically reported in the Results tab. The figure shows the time slot graph. In this example, the graph is updated every 5th second, and it is the task per second that is plotted in the graph. There are several sub-tabs that shows the result information in different formats and layouts. These tabs are located at the bottom of the Result tab. Also note that the progress of the load test is displayed in the status bar at the bottom. That ends this session. Thanks for watching this presentation. For further information, please consult our webpage on www.pureload.com. Happy testing!